Hello, my name is Jay Bender and this is about running a grassroots campaign. First off, a disclaimer. I'm not a politician. I don't really like politics, but I'm running for judge, and here in Texas we elect our judges, so it's a requirement for the position. I want to talk to you about grassroots. I looked it up on dictionary.com, and it's an adjective of or pertaining to or involving the common people, especially as contrasted with or separable from the elite. Well, how does that really work with politics? It doesn't really fit, but if you think of it in this terms, if you think of it as the politically established versus the non-politically established, I being the non-politically established, I think it makes more sense, and I think this topic in this conversation we're going to have would make more sense to you. The very first thing you must do is define why it is that you are running for the position you are running for. If you can't do that very succinctly, then maybe you need to think about either a different position or not running at all. And then secondly, you need to get the buy-in of your family. If you're a family man like I am, it's very important because it will be at least as hard, probably harder, frankly, on your family than it is the actual candidate. It's very important. Once you get those qualifications and you sit down with them and you really figure out why it is that you are a qualified candidate, then you need to check your local election code and election law to verify that you in fact comport with that law, because that is too important. It doesn't make a lot of sense to run for something that you're not legally qualified for. Then once you decide you're going to run, you can find out you run, you need to get your message out. How do you do that? Well, the first thing, it's imperative, is to be honest with your constituents, to be honest with the electorate. Next, you need to identify your target audience. How do you do that? Well, first place to start is the election office. They have a log of all the people that are registered to vote and have voted in the past. So you can target your audience. I myself am a Republican. I'm a conservative Republican. It doesn't make a lot of sense for me to knock on the door of a Democrat. Waste of time. Then it is raw data. You need to change that data into information. How do you do that? Well, you're going to get names and addresses. Get a map. I myself use a MapSco just because it's easier. There's other tools that are available, such as Voter Vault, but I have not used those tools personally because they do cost money. Again, this is about grassroots, and oftentimes in grassroots campaigns, finances are of the utmost importance. Go to party forums. Your party will allow you, typically, in my case, it's been 2 minutes to speak about who I am and why I'm running. But that is, think of it as the unabridged version. You really also need to come down with a concise topic. Think of it as the Cliff Notes version, 7 seconds, elevator speech that you can give somebody that tells them who you are, why you're running, and why you're a viable candidate. You need to seek the endorsements of community leaders and organizations. Those people are spending their time as volunteers because they have ties to the community and they want to make sure the community is going in a proper direction going forward, and they're going to spend their time with you. The least you can do is take time, your time, to spend it with them. Answer their questionnaires. Sometimes, if you're lucky, they'll actually conduct interviews, and that will also give you another ability to get your message across. Don't think you're going to get every single endorsement you vie for. You're not going to be everything to everyone. However, you need to be true to yourself and your campaign, and if you do that, they will come. So take time with those community leaders. Oftentimes, however, those endorsements, which mean that those people are saying, this is our candidate, they're tying their name to you. Very important. Sometimes they give you an endorsement, sometimes they just rate you. You still want to do the best possible you can, but still be true to yourself. Again, rule number 1, be honest. Then another way is new media. I'm going to talk about new media focusing on the internet. I understand the internet is not new, but it changes all the time. You have to have a website. If you can't afford to have one paid to build one, then you can go buy a book and learn yourself. The benefit of that is you can update it instantaneously because you are the one in control of it. And if you can't even afford a book, there are online tutorials that don't cost a penny. But having a website's not enough. That's the first step in having a web presence. You need search engine optimization. You need to have people to be able to find your website so that you can get your message across. That's a topic for another discussion, but do some research into that to make sure that your website can be found. Emailing campaign. It doesn't take a whole lot to put together an email, send it out to your friends and ask them to forward it. Again, the grassroots is just exactly that. One blade of grass turning into many and many, and eventually you have a field. Social networking sites. Obviously, Facebook is a big one. If you're connected with people on Facebook, you already have a common bond. Get your message across through Facebook or LinkedIn or names or whatever other social networking site you belong to. Again, it's getting your message out, and you already have a commonality with these people. Blogging and a microblog. The difference between a microblog is like Twitter, which is very brief. But those are people listening. Blogging is a little bit longer, but again, those are people listening. Those are already your followers. What is important there is that they understand what's going on with your campaign, how hard you are working, and why you're asking them to work hard also. It keeps them up to date in contact with your campaign, but it also helps with your search engine optimization. Again, do your research on that, but that's a topic for another time. Old media. When I talk about old media, I'm talking about signs, been around for a long time, bumper stickers, door magnets. These are not new concepts to running a political campaign, or trinkets such as t-shirts, or even emery boards, or coffee mugs. Again, getting your name out, getting your message across. It's older than what we have in the internet, but it's still important. Direct mailers. You have to be cognizant, though, of a direct mailer, the difference between a first-class postage and bulk rate. Bulk rate takes longer, but it's also less expensive. So be cognizant as to when that is going to hit the mailboxes to ensure that it's done in a timely fashion. Because if it hits it after the election, sunk cost. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Newspapers. Newspapers are looking for articles to write. Oftentimes they will interview the candidates. But even if they're not actively pursuing you, you can write letters to the editor. Or you can purchase advertising if you have the means to do so. Social networking in an old media sense. What do I mean about that? Chambers of commerce. Again, people tied to the community. Kiwanis Club, Rotary Club, Lions Club. The list is endless, but you understand what I'm talking about. And if you have the funds, which is unlikely, but you can still use radio and TV ads. And sometimes it may just be a news article where it doesn't cost you anything, but again, the news is looking for articles to write. Ultimately, again, finances are a big issue. Sweat equity. I cannot place enough emphasis on sweat equity. You get the number, you get the addresses and names from the elections office, which is raw data, then you look up the phone numbers. And you do phone banking. It doesn't take a lot for you, your friends, to make a phone call. But imperatively, this is, if I had to say one thing to do, without a doubt, that's going to get the most benefit, is walking and knocking and talking. Identifying, again, your constituents that you want to get your message to, and go knock on their doors and talk to them. And explain to them who you are, why you're running, and how it's important to them, and why they need to vote for you. And it's the 10, 10, and 10 rule. It doesn't matter if it's the emails, or the walking, or the phone banking. The 10, 10, and 10. That is, you make contact with 10 people and you ask them to forward it on to 10 people themselves. And you ask those 10 people that they forwarded on to forward it on to 10 people also. Again, it's one blade of grass creating many, and eventually you have a field. When you're doing so, you have to replicate yourself. You are one person. You need to reach out to your friends, families, and supporters to get the 10, 10, and 10. But never, under any circumstance, ask them to do something that you, yourself, as the candidate, are not willing to do. Last note is, signs don't vote. People vote. But not every person votes. So when you get out there, get them to commit to you and get them to commit to doing the 10, 10, and 10 rule. Again, family is important. Using the old media is important. It's new media is important. They're all important. It's getting your message out. Particularly meeting with the community leaders. Because they've been through this before. They will provide you guidance, leadership, and counsel that will be invaluable. You can't get it anywhere else. I wish you luck in your campaign. And again, this is about grassroots. Thank you.